Okay, today I'm going to present my exploration into biofeedback and behavioral training. Uh, Biofeedback training consists of monitoring physiological information of a person, relating these different readings to emotional and/or behavioral states, making the person aware of these somewhat subconscious real-time physiological measurements, and the person using this to readjust their behavior and/or emotion. In the graphic above, an example of neurofeedback training is presented. The subject is connected to an electroencephalogram, otherwise known as EEG, to measure their electrical brain waves. The magnitude height of the alpha brain waves change with states of attention, which are coded to states of high attention versus low attention, like watching a favorite TV show versus staring off into space, respectively. The subject can then consciously change a targeted behavior and/or thought process while observing the real-time alpha magnitude and linking internal or external sensations to modulations of this reading. This readout can be simplified to a person by translating the magnitude height signal to a video or music playing or not playing. The subject then uses this readout to create a feedback loop to train themselves to strengthen and reinforce a behavior to obtain desired readouts. The subject gains control of this behavior using the measurement equipment. Then, ideally, this subject learns to control this behavior without the equipment. This type of technology has been explored for the treatment of pain, anxiety, depression, ADHD, and general focus issues. For the remainder of this presentation, we will focus on the behavior of passive attention at the intersection of educational learning and biofeedback training, with a focus on neurofeedback training. Self-awareness of your body, emotions, and values are essential before you could learn to control these factors to achieve intended outcomes, such as focus and attention. Learning is an engaged process requiring undivided attention to minimize extrinsic cognitive load capacity, allowing more room for intrinsic and germane cognitive loads of working and long-term memory utilization. Most often, we use a trial and error process to learning, where we look back post hoc for signs of learning. Biofeedback training could potentially give us a tool to make learning and the act of intentional focus more targeted and efficient. Let's imagine you're assigned to read for understanding a long, complicated piece of writing. As you get further through the reading, your mind starts to wander without you even noticing. Biofeedback technologies is an attractive method to potentially help learners to train themselves to be aware of this subconscious feeling and how to correct it. The learner would become more aware of their body under different circumstances and help them accept responsibility and control of their subconscious behaviors through refocusing passive attention during the learning process. Rather than striving and anticipating the end outcome, here finishing the reading, the learner strengthens the process of focusing on the learning at hand. This could be used to help them identify physiological patterns associated with being focused and efficient in their learning. Applications thus far for neurofeedback training have been in the clinical setting for treatment of pain, depression, and ADHD. The study and application in the classroom has not been fully explored to date. However, featured in 2019, a Wired article focused on a company called NeuroSky, which has developed a product that is relatively affordable and easy to use, which consists of an EEG monitor linked to a smartphone application to measure brainwave activity. Right now, the evidence of validation for this application is lacking appropriate peer-based review. Going forward, their target consumer is researchers who may be interested in neurobiofeedback training in the classroom learning environment. The basic idea is a user would wear a headset that tracks brain activity and receives positive or negative feedback on their smartphone, indicating if their brain waves are at an optimal learning efficiency. If the reading indicates low efficiency, the user can adjust their focus and behaviors accordingly. This application is an ergonomic application breaking down the barriers of the need for trained specialized technicians, facilitating the neurofeedback training process. This application is also fully digitally integrated, potentially allowing for greater collaboration of the educational facilitators and learners through quantitative tracking and communication. We could imagine a low-hanging fruit scholarship of teaching and learning study design looking at two different semesters of the same course being taught, where the challenge group in one semester uses the NeuroSky application during assigned readings. The control group in the second semester would not use this application. A quantitative assessment of learning at the end of the course could be used to determine if significantly better learning with neurofeedback training was obtained in a classroom setting. A relatively recent high-impact peer-reviewed publication presented evidence showing neurofeedback training does produce significantly enhanced learning. In this study design, 8 yellow spheres on a computer screen were moving in random straight lines within a cube that bounced off the walls. 4 of the cubes briefly turn red, then back to yellow. The test subjects, being humans, are asked to track the 4 spheres that were previously red and ignore the other 4 spheres. After an elapse of time, the subjects were asked to recall which spheres were previously red. For the neurofeedback trained group, the spheres they were supposed to track turn only slightly red when their EEG alpha brainwaves fall below a threshold of magnitude. After 20 sessions of training, all groups performed the tracking task with no feedback intervention. The neurofeedback trained group performed significantly better than all control groups. Using neurofeedback training in educational settings is a technology-based solution of the future. This tool will be highly individualized to the user and could potentially help many to efficiently become measurably better learners. In the hypothetical case of NeuroSky's smartphone product mentioned in previous slides, you could imagine every student owning this device for a relatively low buy-in cost. This is a product you could purchase now and is easy to use. The product is provided by an established company to provide training and technical support. There is evidence this technology enhances learning and has the potential to link other evidence-based practices like spacing, interleaved practice, and summarizing/drawing conclusions through unifying principles of physiological states necessary for optimal learning to occur. A simple study was proposed in previous slides to implement next steps for validating this technology in educational settings. With that, thank you for your attention. I hope I have convinced you biofeedback training is a technology of the future deserving more study and consideration for educational-based utilizations.